for millennia, a single golden chest held the very breath of the divine, the pulsating heart of a nascent nation's faith. The Ark of the Covenant, a name whispered with awe and trepidation, was not merely an artifact. It was the tangible manifestation of an unseen God, a terrifying and glorious presence that moved mountains and humbled kings. Yet for centuries, its physical resting place has remained one of history's most tantalizing and unresolved enigmas. Was it swallowed by the sands of time, hidden in forgotten crypts, or spirited away to distant lands? This profound absence, however, conceals a mystery far grander than any archaeological quest. It compels us to ask, what was the true nature of its power? Was it merely a conduit for miraculous events? Or did it embody a spiritual truth so fundamental, so transformative, that its understanding unlocks the very essence of our sacred connection to the divine? Our epic journey into this profound mystery commences on the hallowed, windswept slopes of Mount Sinai, a landscape etched with the very finger of God, where a covenant was forged and a people were born. Here, amidst the stark beauty of the wilderness, the Ark of the Covenant was meticulously crafted according to divine blueprints, a sacred vessel designed to house the very tablets of the law. From this wilderness tabernacle, it embarked on a perilous passage, a visible sign of an invisible God leading his people. Its presence parted the raging waters of the Jordan, toppled the impregnable walls of Jericho with a trumpet's blast, and even humbled the idols of foreign gods. It was a testament to awe-inspiring yet terrifying divine authority, a constant reminder that the Creator walked among his creation, demanding reverence and obedience in equal measure. But the Ark was more than a miraculous instrument. It was a sacred boundary, a constant reminder of the delicate balance between divine accessibility and terrifying holiness. Its story is replete with profound warnings against the human temptation to presume upon God's presence, to treat his holy power as a mere battle charm or a tool for earthly ambition. We witness the tragic consequences when men dared to touch what was consecrated, or deployed it without true reverence, mistaking its power for a controllable force. This narrative unveils a timeless moral conflict, the perennial tension between human presumption and divine sovereignty, between genuine faith and the yearning to manipulate the uncontrollable. The Ark emerges not just as a golden chest, but as the very throne of the invisible God, the ultimate symbol of his unwavering covenant, his absolute justice, and his boundless mercy. As we unravel its biblical narrative, tracing its miraculous origins through the wilderness, its solemn installation in Solomon's temple, and its perplexing disappearance around the time of the Babylonian siege, a new perspective begins to emerge. This film will guide viewers beyond the initial enigma of its physical absence, towards a profound discovery of its spiritual essence. We will reflect on the timeless lessons embedded in its journey, the dangers of misplaced faith, the deep human yearning for a tangible divine presence, and the ultimate truth that God's power transcends any earthly container. For perhaps the true lost mystery isn't the physical ark itself, but humanity's forgotten understanding of a God who seeks not a dwelling made with hands, but a heart made pure. In an age seeking tangible proof and instant answers, what does the enduring mystery of the Ark teach us about the subtle, yet omnipresent power of the divine within our lives? From the crucible of ancient Egypt, where colossal monuments proclaimed the dominion of a pantheon of gods, emerged a nascent nation utterly distinct. Israel, birthed in the crucible of divine liberation, was commanded to worship one unseen creator, a revolutionary concept that defied the very fabric of the surrounding world. It was amidst this stark contrast that the Ark of the Covenant was conceived, not as another idol, but as a sacred counterpoint, a throne for an omnipresent God, crafted from acacia wood and overlaid with purest gold, its design meticulously dictated by divine instruction. This vessel became the portable heart of their faith, a stark visual challenge to the animal-headed deities and sun gods of their oppressors, embodying a singular, transcendent holiness that refused to be confined to human-made effigies or temple walls. Its very existence was a constant, shimmering revelation, a beacon against the spiritual darkness of a world steeped in polytheism and human-fashioned divinity. As Israel journeyed through the wilderness, the ark was their vanguard, a palpable manifestation of their invisible God, an enduring testament to a covenant forged in fire and thunder. It was carried by priests, veiled from common sight, its presence signifying both protection and profound challenge. In the land of Canaan, it confronted entrenched paganism, not with human armies alone, but with a spiritual authority that shattered false idols and revealed the impotence of rival gods. The story of Dagon falling prostrate before the ark in Ashdod is more than a historical anecdote. It is a profound symbolic narrative of spiritual conquest, where the tangible presence of the divine asserted its supremacy over the meticulously crafted deities of surrounding cultures. The ark, therefore, was not merely an object. It was a living declaration, moving through history, continually redefining the very concept of divine power and presence for generations. Centuries later, the ark found its consecrated resting place within the opulent grandeur of Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem, a dwelling of cedar and gold, built to house the uncontainable. Here in the Holy of Holies, shrouded by thick veils and accessible only to the high priest once a year, its sacred nature intensified, becoming the very axis of Israel's spiritual universe. This transition from a mobile tabernacle to a fixed temple signified a maturing faith, yet the ark remained veiled, its presence a mystery within a mystery, a constant reminder that God's essence transcended even the most magnificent human architecture. It was the earthly nexus where heaven touched earth, where the divine met the human, but always under terms of profound reverence and strict separation, emphasizing that true holiness demands awe, not familiarity. Yet, as the centuries unfolded, Israel's fidelity wavered, and the shadow of judgment lengthened. The Babylonian Empire, a colossal force of iron and ambition, descended upon Jerusalem, razing Solomon's Temple to its foundations in 586 BCE. Amidst the chaos of destruction, the Ark of the Covenant vanished from historical record. Was it carried away as spoils of war, hidden by devout priests, or perhaps supernaturally removed? The silence of the biblical texts on its fate is deafening, leaving a void that has tantalized scholars and seekers for millennia. This disappearance marks a pivotal moment, transforming the Ark from a physical presence, however veiled, into an enduring enigma, a potent symbol of both loss and a profound shift in humanity's relationship with the tangible divine. The post-exilic era, when the Jewish people returned to a shattered homeland and rebuilt a humbler Second Temple, faced a profound spiritual challenge: how to worship a God whose most sacred, tangible symbol was absent. The Holy of Holies stood empty, a silent testament to the Ark's disappearance. This absence, however, became a catalyst for a deeper spiritual evolution. No longer could faith rely on a physical manifestation of God's presence. It was compelled to internalize, to seek the divine not in a golden chest, but in the sacred texts, in prayer, and in the community itself. The mystery of the Ark's vanishing act inadvertently guided the people towards a more mature, less dependent understanding of God, prompting them to look inward for the covenant, rather than outward for a physical sign. Indeed, prophetic voices had already hinted at this profound transformation. Jeremiah, witnessing the nation's decline centuries before the Babylonian siege, spoke of a future when "they shall say no more, the ark of the covenant of the Lord. Nor shall it come to mind, nor shall they remember it, nor shall they make another." This astonishing prophecy suggested that the ark, for all its sacred power, was but a precursor, a type of a greater, more intimate covenant yet to come, one written not on tablets of stone housed within a golden chest, but upon the very hearts of humanity. It revealed a divine purpose that transcended even its most sacred artifacts, pointing towards an era where the connection to the Creator would be direct, personal, and profoundly spiritual, rendering any physical container obsolete. Through the subsequent centuries, even as empires like Greece and Rome rose and fell, and the Second Temple itself met its fiery end at the hands of Roman legions in 70 CE, the Ark remained lost to history. Its absence, rather than diminishing faith, seems to have solidified the understanding that God's presence is not confined to a single location or object. The destruction of the temple and the scattering of the Jewish people into diaspora further emphasized this truth. A faith once centered around a physical sanctuary and its sacred contents adapted to a world without them, evolving into a resilient spiritual tradition carried within the hearts and minds of its adherents, proving that the divine connection could thrive beyond any earthly container or geographical boundary. Thus, the enduring mystery of the Ark of the Covenant's disappearance, far from being a tale of irretrievable loss, becomes a profound spiritual lesson. It compels us to look beyond the tangible, beyond the glittering gold and miraculous power, to the deeper truth it always pointed to. That God's true dwelling place is not a box crafted by human hands, but the pure heart, the reverent spirit, and the community bound by covenant. The Ark's journey, from Sinai to Solomon's temple and then into the mists of history, mirrors humanity's own quest for the divine, a journey that ultimately reveals that the most precious truths are not found in archaeological digs, but within the quiet chambers of our own souls, where the whisper of the sacred resonates eternally. The search for the physical Ark, though compelling, often risks obscuring the profound spiritual journey it was always meant to inspire. For millennia, human hearts have yearned for a tangible connection to the divine, a golden vessel to house the uncontainable. Yet the true revelation lies not in uncovering dust-laden relics from forgotten crypts, but in understanding the Ark's ultimate purpose as a signpost, a sacred pointer towards an even greater reality. Its disappearance was not an abandonment, but a divine invitation, a deliberate shift from the external and visible to the internal and eternal. This deliberate void in historical records, once a source of frustration, now emerges as a profound spiritual lesson, compelling humanity to look beyond the material manifestation and embrace a deeper, more intimate truth about God's omnipresent nature and his desire for a different kind of dwelling. The mystery deepens, not into an archaeological riddle, but into a spiritual awakening. Indeed, ancient texts, illuminated by the wisdom of ages, whisper of the Ark's role as a shadow, a foreshadowing of a more complete spiritual reality yet to come. It was a sacred prototype, designed to prepare humanity for a profound evolution in their relationship with the Creator. The physical Ark, with its cherubim and mercy seat, its tablets of law and signs of divine provision, meticulously crafted yet ultimately temporal, served as a vital, tangible schoolmaster. It taught reverence, the necessity of atonement, and the absolute holiness of God, lessons essential for a nascent people. But its very existence, its veiled presence, always hinted at a future where the divine connection would transcend the need for an earthly container, where the sacred would be made accessible not through proximity to an object, but through a transformation of the heart. This brings us to the core of the Ark's lost mystery, unveiled through prophetic insight, the shift from a covenant written on stone and housed in gold to one etched upon the very fabric of human consciousness. Jeremiah's astonishing prophecy, echoing through the corridors of time, spoke not of finding the Ark, but of a future where it would no longer be remembered, for a new covenant would supersede it. This new covenant, promised to be written on the hearts and minds of the people, transforms each individual into a living sanctuary, a portable tabernacle for the divine presence. The Holy of Holies, once a secluded chamber guarded by priests and veils, now finds its spiritual counterpart within the inner sanctum of a pure and contrite spirit, becoming accessible to all who seek. No longer is the divine presence confined to a single, awe-inspiring artifact or a magnificent temple in a distant land. This profound revelation democratizes the sacred, extending the privilege and responsibility of bearing God's presence to every human heart. It liberates faith from dependency on external symbols, compelling it inward, where true transformation can occur. The Ark's disappearance, therefore, was not a loss of God's presence, but a relocation, a spiritual migration from the external to the internal, from the collective to the intensely personal. This shift demands a higher form of spiritual maturity, urging each soul to cultivate an inner landscape worthy of the divine, to become a vessel of reverence and light in a world often overshadowed by material pursuits. Consider the Shekinah, the glorious cloud that once enveloped the Ark, signifying God's tangible presence, both terrifying and comforting. This visible manifestation, a pillar of fire by night and cloud by day, led Israel through the wilderness. The deeper truth, now unveiled, is that this indwelling glory is not merely a historical phenomenon. In this new understanding, the divine presence seeks to dwell not above a golden lid, but within the human spirit. The sacred texts, illuminated by spiritual insight, suggest that each individual, through a life consecrated to the divine, can become a dwelling place for this inner glory, radiating God's light into the world. It is a profound invitation to embody the sacred, making every moment a testament to the divine indwelling. Even the precious contents of the ark, the tablets of the law, Aaron's rod that budded, and the pot of manna transcend their physical forms to reveal enduring spiritual principles now internalized. The law, once inscribed on stone, becomes a moral compass etched upon the conscience, guiding ethical conduct from within. Aaron's rod, symbolizing divine authority and miraculous provision for leadership, finds its echo in the spiritual empowerment granted to all who serve with pure hearts. And the manna, the daily bread from heaven, transforms into the spiritual nourishment of God's living word, sustenance for the soul, available not in the desert but in the depths of our communion with the divine. These are not lost but relocated, re-embodied. The ark had always enforced a terrifying boundary of holiness, separating the sacred from the profane, demanding strict adherence to divine protocols. Its disappearance, however, did not diminish holiness. Rather, it redefined it. The revelation is that holiness is no longer a distant, unapproachable attribute confined to a physical object or space, but a quality to be cultivated within. Through moral clarity, purity of intention, and a life lived in alignment with divine will, humanity is invited to participate in this holiness. The awe remains, but it transforms from fear of external transgression to reverence for an internal calling, a profound respect for the divine spark within each soul, urging us to guard our hearts as the most sacred of temples. Perhaps the most profound unveiling lies in the symbolic tearing of the veil, a powerful image that resonates across sacred traditions. Just as the ark was once hidden behind thick curtains, accessible only to the high priest, so too was humanity's direct access to the divine once constrained. The ark's disappearance and the subsequent spiritual evolution signify the removal of this separation. The veil, once a barrier of awe, is now metaphorically rent, granting direct, unmediated access to the divine presence. This profound shift liberates the seeker from intermediaries and rituals, inviting a personal encounter with the sacred, a direct communion that bypasses the need for any earthly artifact, no matter how holy or magnificent. Thus, the enduring legacy of the Ark of the Covenant is not found in an archaeological discovery, but in the spiritual transformation of humanity. Each individual, through faith and devotion, is called to become a living ark, a vessel for God's presence, carrying His law in their hearts, His grace in their actions, and His light in their lives. This is the ultimate moral clarity, that the divine seeks not a golden box, but a pure heart, not a fixed temple, but a spirit willing to be a sanctuary. The awe is heightened by this personal responsibility, for to bear the divine presence within is to walk with a profound sense of purpose, reflecting the sacred in every interaction and decision. The journey from the awe-inspiring yet terrifying physical ark to the boundless, omnipresent Spirit of God offers a transcendent reflection. The true mystery was never about where the ark went, but where God was truly leading humanity. It was a divine lesson in spiritual maturity, urging us beyond tangible proof to the subtle yet profound power of faith, hope, and love. As we close this exploration, we are left not with unanswered questions, but with a deep sense of peace and enlightenment, understanding that the most sacred connection is not found in relics of the past, but in the vibrant, living presence of the divine within our own hearts, eternally accessible, eternally transformative. The whisper of the sacred resonates not from an empty chamber, but from the depths of our being. The true significance of the ark's journey and its eventual vanishing becomes a radiant beacon, illuminating a path not away from the divine, but deeper into its very essence. It reveals that the sacred is not diminished by absence, but transformed, purified, and renewed within the human spirit. The light of God, once focused on a golden vessel, now seeks to ignite an internal flame, urging us to recognize our own capacity to be sanctuaries of the divine. This profound shift from external reverence to internal realization invites a radical purification of purpose and intention, a renewal of spirit that transcends mere ritual and artifact. It compels us to understand that the ultimate temple is not built of stone, but forged in the crucible of a humble and seeking heart, a heart cleansed by grace and illuminated by an ever-present spiritual light. The ancient mystery, far from being lost to time, is now universally accessible, an invitation to a personal and profound encounter with the Creator, transforming our understanding of His dwelling. This internal dwelling demands a continuous process of purification, akin to the ancient rituals that prepared the high priest for the Holy of Holies. But now the purification is not of garments or hands, but of thoughts, motives, and desires. It is a spiritual alchemy, refining the dross of worldly attachments to reveal the shining gold of divine presence within. This inner sanctuary, once cleansed, becomes a wellspring of renewal, perpetually refreshing the spirit amidst the droughts of modern life. The light that emanates from such a purified heart is not merely a personal comfort, it is a guiding luminescence for others, a testament to the transformative power of a lived faith. This is the promise of the enduring covenant, that through conscious effort and divine grace, we can become living vessels, radiating the sacred light that once shimmered above the Ark's mercy seat into a world yearning for clarity. In an age often defined by anxiety and uncertainty, this profound spiritual revelation offers an inexhaustible source of hope. When external structures crumble and familiar certainties dissolve, the understanding that the divine presence resides within provides an unshakable anchor. It is a hope that transcends fleeting circumstances, grounding us in an eternal truth that we are never truly alone, never truly abandoned. This inner ark, far from being a relic of the past, is a vibrant, living promise for the future, whispering of resilience, purpose, and divine companionship. It empowers us to face global challenges, personal struggles, and existential doubts, knowing that the light of renewal is always present, always accessible, illuminating the path forward, even through the darkest valleys of human experience. This hope is not naive optimism, but a profound trust in the inherent goodness of the universe. The omnipresent fear that shadows contemporary life, born of conflict, division, and an uncertain future, finds its true antidote in this internalized divinity. The ancient ark, though a symbol of terrifying holiness, also represented divine protection and guidance. Now that same protective presence is not distant, but intimately woven into the fabric of our being. This understanding dismantles the walls of fear, for how can one truly be afraid when the very Creator dwells within? It cultivates an inner peace that stands resilient against external chaos, fostering courage to confront injustice and compassion to heal wounds. The divine light within us becomes a shield against despair, reminding us that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, a flicker of sacred truth can illuminate a path towards peace, transforming dread into serene resolve. Furthermore, the Ark's spiritual message offers a profound understanding of redemption, moving beyond mere forgiveness of past transgressions to a continuous process of spiritual unfolding. Redemption is not a singular event, but a lifelong journey of aligning our inner sanctuary with divine purpose, a constant purification of spirit. It is the ongoing renewal of our covenant with the sacred, where every stumble becomes an opportunity for deeper insight, every failure a chance for profound grace. This redemptive path, guided by the internal light of the divine, encourages radical self-acceptance and a commitment to perpetual growth. It reminds us that our true essence remains untarnished, eternally capable of returning to a state of grace, even after earthly imperfections. For the divine presence within us continuously calls us to our highest spiritual potential. Thus, the enduring mystery of the Ark of the Covenant culminates not in a single archaeological find, but in a universal spiritual awakening. It synthesizes light, purification, and renewal into a living testament, offering hope in despair, solace in fear, and a path to redemption for all humanity. The ancient lessons, once confined to desert tabernacles and grand temples, now resonate within the quiet chambers of every heart willing to listen. This is the deepest meaning, that the divine seeks not physical confinement, but spiritual communion, not external adoration, but internal transformation. It is a call to recognize the sacred within ourselves and in one another, to build a world where every soul is cherished as a living sanctuary, radiating the profound and unifying light of an omnipresent God. The journey from the awe-inspiring yet terrifying physical ark to the boundless, omnipresent Spirit of God offers a transcendent reflection that elevates and enlightens. It gently guides us past the need for tangible proof, into a realm where faith becomes its own evidence and intuition its own guide. The true mystery was never about where the ark went, but where God was truly leading humanity into a deeper, more intimate, and profoundly personal relationship. This understanding liberates us from the constraints of history and the limitations of the material, opening our hearts to the subtle yet profound power of a divine love that permeates all existence. It is a wisdom that shines through the ages, offering clarity and purpose to every seeker, illuminating the path towards genuine spiritual freedom and connection. As we close this exploration, we are left not with unanswered questions that stir anxiety, but with a deep sense of peace and enlightenment, understanding that the most sacred connection is not found in relics of the past, but in the vibrant, living presence of the divine within our own hearts. This presence is eternally accessible, eternally transformative, a wellspring of tranquility that calms the restless spirit. The whispers of the sacred resonate, not from an empty chamber in a distant land, but from the very depths of our being, inviting us to embrace our role as carriers of the divine light. In this profound realization, the quest ends and the journey inward begins, leaving us profoundly connected, at peace, and filled with the enduring truth of God's omnipresence. The journey from the awe-inspiring yet terrifying physical ark to the boundless, omnipresent Spirit of God offers a transcendent reflection that elevates and enlightens. It gently guides us past the need for tangible proof, into a realm where faith becomes its own evidence and intuition its own guide. The true mystery was never about where the ark went, but where God was truly leading humanity into a deeper, more intimate, and profoundly personal relationship. This understanding liberates us from the constraints of history and the limitations of the material, opening our hearts to the subtle yet profound power of a divine love that permeates all existence. It is a wisdom that shines through the ages, offering clarity and purpose to every seeker, illuminating the path towards genuine spiritual freedom and connection in a world so often distracted by the ephemeral. This profound realization has the power to transform our daily existence, shifting our focus from external validation to internal resonance. Every sunrise becomes a fresh covenant, every challenge an invitation to draw upon an inner strength that is divine in origin. The reverence once reserved for a golden chest and its sacred contents now finds its home in the sanctity of human relationships, in acts of compassion, and in moments of quiet contemplation amidst the clamor of modern life. We are called to embody the ark's spiritual essence, becoming living vessels of divine light, carrying peace and purpose into our families, communities, and the wider world. This is the universal takeaway, that the divine is not a distant deity, but a vibrant presence, constantly accessible, waiting to be recognized and expressed through our every breath and action, fostering an enduring sense of gratitude. As we close this exploration, we are left not with unanswered questions that stir anxiety, but with a deep sense of peace and enlightenment, understanding that the most sacred connection is not found in relics of the past, but in the vibrant living presence of the divine within our own hearts. This presence is eternally accessible, eternally transformative, a wellspring of tranquility that calms the restless spirit. The whispers of the sacred resonate, not from an empty chamber in a distant land, but from the very depths of our being, inviting us to embrace our role as carriers of the divine light. In this profound realization, the quest ends and the journey inward begins, leaving us profoundly connected, at peace, and filled with the enduring truth of God's omnipresence.